Plants are shutting down, workers are being left behind, and giants like Tesla, Ford, Coca-Cola, and General Motors are channeling billions into Canada instead of the United States. If the core of American industry is shifting north, are we on the edge of an economic collapse? Tesla was once the golden child of American innovation, a symbol of the country's leap into clean energy and advanced technology. From electric cars to massive battery factories, many believed Tesla would keep America at the forefront of the 21st century. But quietly, the company has been moving billions of dollars across the border. Ontario has become the new center of Tesla's expansion. In just 2 years, Tesla invested more than $1 billion into Canadian operations, hiring more engineers in Ontario than in California, once the company's stronghold. Canada offered cheaper clean energy, faster approval processes, and priority access to resources. The US, on the other hand, is plagued with unstable power grids, rising electricity costs, and approval delays that can take up to 5 years. Every delay means falling behind in a race where speed is everything. For Tesla, Canada rolled out the red carpet, providing a stable environment to grow. The bigger picture is not just about cars, it's about the US losing its claim as a global tech leader. If Tesla plants its roots in Canada, an entire ecosystem of talent, suppliers, and innovation could shift north. For generations, Coca-Cola was more than a drink. It was the taste of summer, the image of family gatherings, and a symbol of American pride. Yet today, this iconic brand is quietly relocating parts of its production to Canada. Packaging plants have opened in Ontario, and aluminum supply contracts are being signed in Quebec. Before long, the familiar red and white can begin carrying the small but telling words, "Made in Canada." The reason is economics. US tariffs on aluminum and rising packaging costs made it nearly impossible to sustain operations at home. Canada, offering cheaper aluminum and smoother supply chains, became the better option. For workers, the change has been devastating. Entire shifts that once employed hundreds have been reduced to a fraction. Machinery upgrades stopped coming, orders slowed, and jobs quietly disappeared. For many Americans, the symbolism cuts deep. If even Coca-Cola can't afford to operate in the US, what does that say about the state of American manufacturing? General Motors has also been redirecting its future north. For decades, GM plants were the heartbeat of cities like Detroit and Flint. Today, billions are being poured into Canadian factories, with Ontario and Quebec now home to EV battery production. Over the last 5 years, more than $2.6 billion has gone into Canadian operations. This is not a side project. It is a shift in direction. The US has become less attractive for expansion, with strikes costing GM nearly $1 billion in lost productivity in 2024, and approval processes dragging on for years. Canada, meanwhile, offered stability, worker training support, and guarantees of job security. In American communities once built around GM, the decline is visible. Restaurants have closed, schools are shrinking, and once thriving neighborhoods are now overgrown with weeds. Even Campbell's Soup, a pantry staple for generations, is moving production north. More and more operations are shifting to Ontario, while US factories in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey cut shifts and suspend production. The reason lies in the rising cost of aluminum. A 25% tariff added nearly $90 million to Campbell's costs in 1 quarter alone. For a company that depends on aluminum cans, that was unsustainable. Canada, with cheaper electricity and subsidies, quickly became the better choice. The consequences ripple outward. Farms that supplied vegetables, trucking companies that moved products, and small diners that stocked Campbell's Soup are all feeling the strain. For families picking up a can labeled "Product of Canada," the taste may not have changed, but the feeling has. It's a reminder that even the most familiar parts of American life can be uprooted. The same story is unfolding with Alcoa, one of the most important aluminum producers in American history. For over a century, it quietly powered everything from cars to airplanes. But recently, its operations have shifted to Quebec. Energy costs in the US are nearly double those in Canada, and Quebec struck a deal to provide Alcoa cheap electricity until 2040. Faced with the numbers, the move was inevitable. For workers, however, it feels like the ground is disappearing beneath them. Decades-long careers have ended, leaving families searching for stability while aluminum is now smelted abroad. Ford, the brand behind the legendary F-150, has also shifted its future north. In 2024, Ford announced a $2.03 billion investment in Oakville, Ontario, outpacing its investments in 5 U.S. states combined. Canada approved the project in less than a year, offered $500 million in subsidies, and supplied renewable energy. For American towns built around Ford factories, the effects are devastating. Families who believed Ford would always provide stable jobs are now facing an uncertain future. The truck that once symbolized American toughness is now being assembled across the border. Walmart has joined the trend. Instead of expanding its U.S. distribution hubs, it chose Toronto for its new AI-powered supply chain center. In less than 2 years, Walmart hired over 400 Canadian engineers and data scientists, while hundreds of U.S. positions were cut. The decision was fueled by Canada's incentives, lower labor costs, and easier hiring of foreign talent. What this means is that while stores remain open in the US, the technology that controls how shelves are stocked and how goods move is now being built abroad. Even Pepsi has followed Coca-Cola's lead. With aluminum tariffs, high energy prices, and rising insurance costs, Pepsi shifted parts of its operations to Ontario and Alberta. US plants have been forced to reduce capacity or close entirely, leaving behind empty warehouses and devastated towns. If two of the most American brands can't survive US manufacturing costs, the larger picture is troubling. Tech giants are making the same calculation. Intel and Nvidia, both symbols of Silicon Valley, chose Vancouver for their new AI labs. Canada's Global Talent Stream program allows engineers to get permits in weeks, while in the US it can take a year. In an industry where every month counts, that difference is critical. As more labs relocate north, the cycle of innovation begins shifting away from the US. Even agriculture is not spared. For more than a century, America was the world's breadbasket, feeding nations across the globe. But today, Archer Daniels Midland and Cargill are moving operations into Canada. Buyers in Europe and Japan see Canada as more reliable, thanks to stricter food standards. American farmers are left selling at lower prices as international demand falls. Communities that once thrived on feeding the world are now struggling to survive. Factories, farms, and innovation itself are moving north. What once defined America's economic power is now being rebuilt in Canada. For workers, communities, and families, the question is no longer just about jobs. It's about whether the US can still claim its place as the global leader of industry. This is USA News Report. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.